"I need your help to have a baby," Eliza Blackwood declared, her Louboutins clicking against the marble floor of her penthouse as she paced. The man sitting across from her nearly choked on his coffee. "Why me? I'm your—" He hesitated, the word catching in his throat, "gardener." If you're intrigued by this unexpected proposition and want to discover how this complicated relationship unfolds, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories that explore the complexities of human connections. Eliza Blackwood had everything money could buy. At 38, she was the CEO of Blackwood Industries, a tech empire she'd built from the ground up. Her face graced the covers of business magazines, her name topped Forbes lists, and her signature appeared on checks with more zeros than most people saw in a lifetime. But as she stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of her Manhattan penthouse, watching the city lights flicker like stars beneath her, she felt a hollowness that no acquisition could fill. The doctor's words from earlier that day echoed in her mind. "Your chances of conceiving naturally are diminishing rapidly, Ms. Blackwood. If you want a child, you should consider your options soon." Eliza had never considered herself maternal. Children were messy, unpredictable variables that didn't fit into her meticulously planned life. But lately, something had shifted. Perhaps it was watching her younger sister cradle her newborn, or maybe it was the realization that despite her empire, she had no one to leave it to. No legacy beyond quarterly reports and stock prices. She took a sip of her whiskey, neat, and made a decision. She needed a baby. And like everything else in her life, she would acquire one efficiently, on her terms. The next morning, she summoned her assistant. "Find me suitable sperm donors. Top genetics, high intelligence, excellent health records. I want options by the end of the week." Her assistant, Margot, nodded without surprise. After 7 years working for Eliza, nothing shocked her anymore. "Will you be using a surrogate, or—" "No," Eliza said firmly. "I'll carry the child myself. I want my DNA, just need the other half." A week later, Eliza flipped through the donor profiles with growing frustration. Anonymous men reduced to medical histories and accomplishments. It felt cold, clinical. Not that Eliza minded cold and clinical, she thrived in those conditions professionally, but something about creating a life this way felt wrong. She closed the folder and walked to her balcony garden, the only place in her sterile home that felt alive. The spring flowers were blooming, a riot of colors against the concrete cityscape. This small oasis existed thanks to one person, Jack Sullivan, the gardener she'd hired 3 years ago after seeing his work at a charity gala. As if summoned by her thoughts, the elevator dinged, and Jack stepped out onto her penthouse floor. At 40, he carried himself with quiet confidence. His hands were calloused from work, his skin tanned from days spent outdoors. He nodded politely. "Morning, Ms. Blackwood. Just here for the weekly maintenance." Eliza watched him work, noticing for the first time how gentle his hands were with the plants, how his eyes crinkled when he examined a particularly healthy bloom. She knew little about him personally, except that he was raising a daughter alone after his wife died in childbirth 5 years ago. He never complained, never asked for special treatment, just quietly adjusted his schedule to accommodate his parental responsibilities. A thought formed in Eliza's mind, inappropriate and perfect all at once. "Jack," she said suddenly. "I need to discuss something with you. Come inside when you're finished." An hour later, they sat across from each other, Jack perched uncomfortably on her designer sofa, refusing the offered whiskey. "I need your help to have a baby," Eliza declared, her Louboutins clicking against the marble floor of her penthouse as she paced. Jack nearly choked on his coffee. "Why me? I'm your—" He hesitated, the word catching in his throat, "gardener." "Precisely why you're perfect," Eliza continued, unfazed by his shock. "You're healthy, intelligent enough to run your own successful business, and clearly fertile. Most importantly, you have no connection to my world. No claim to make on my company or fortune. Jack set down his cup, his expression hardening. Ms. Blackwood, with all due respect, I'm not a stud horse. I'm a father and a business owner. I'll pay you, of course, Eliza continued as if he hadn't spoken. Name your price. This would be a business transaction, nothing more. I don't expect or want your involvement after conception. Jack stood up, his usually calm demeanor cracking. My daughter isn't a business transaction, and neither would any child I help create be. Children aren't acquisitions, Ms. Blackwood. They're responsibilities, joys, heartbreaks, they're everything. I understand that. No, you don't, Jack interrupted, something he'd never done before. You think you can schedule a baby between board meetings? That you can delegate the hard parts and just show up for the Instagram moments? Parenthood doesn't work that way. Eliza felt her face flush with anger. No one spoke to her like this. I'm offering you enough money to secure your daughter's future, her education, her. She has everything she needs, Jack said quietly. What she needs most is a father who demonstrates that people aren't commodities to be bought and sold. I'm sorry, but my answer is no. He left without being dismissed, another first. Eliza stood frozen, unaccustomed to rejection. She should fire him immediately. Instead, she found herself thinking about his words, turning them over in her mind as she tried to fall asleep that night. The next morning, she called Margot. Cancel my appointments for the day. Instead of going to the office, Eliza did something unprecedented, she went to Brooklyn. Specifically, to the small community garden where Jack worked when not tending to private clients. She found him kneeling in soil, teaching a group of children about planting vegetables. She stood awkwardly at the gate, conspicuous in her designer suit among the greenery. When Jack noticed her, surprise flashed across his face before he excused himself from the children. Ms. Blackwood, he said cautiously. Is there a problem with the balcony garden? No, she said, suddenly uncertain. Eliza Blackwood was never uncertain. I came to apologize. You were right. I approached this, incorrectly. Jack's eyebrows rose slightly. Apology accepted. Is that all? No. Eliza took a deep breath. I want to understand. Could I, observe? Observe what? This, she gestured vaguely at the garden, the children. Parenthood. What it actually entails. Jack studied her for a long moment. Why? Because I still want a child, Eliza admitted. But I don't want to be the kind of mother who treats them like an acquisition. Something in Jack's expression softened. My daughter, Lily, will be here after school. You can stay if you want. But Ms. Blackwood. Eliza, she corrected. Eliza, he amended. This isn't something you can learn in an afternoon. She nodded. I know. But it's a start. That afternoon stretched into evening. Eliza met 5-year-old Lily, a whirlwind of energy with her father's kind eyes and stubborn chin. She watched Jack balance authority with affection, setting boundaries while encouraging exploration. She saw him wipe tears, bandage a scraped knee, negotiate vegetable consumption, and read 3 bedtime stories because, one more, please, Daddy, was apparently irresistible. By the time Lily was asleep, Eliza felt exhausted just from watching. You do this every day? She asked as Jack offered her tea in his modest but warm kitchen. Every day, he confirmed. And this was an easy one. No tantrums, no nightmares, no sick days. How do you manage alone? Jack's eyes clouded briefly. I wasn't supposed to be doing it alone. My wife, Anna, she had complications during delivery. One moment I was becoming a father, the next I was a widower. I'm sorry, Eliza said, meaning it. That must have been devastating. It was, Jack agreed. Still is, sometimes. But Lily needed me, so I figured it out. found a new normal. She's lucky to have you. Jack smiled slightly. I'm the lucky one. She saved me as much as I take care of her. Eliza felt something shift inside her, a recognition of a depth of feeling she'd never experienced. I should go, she said abruptly, uncomfortable with the unfamiliar emotion. Over the next weeks, Eliza found herself drawn back to Jack and Lily's world. She used flimsy pretexts, questions about the balcony garden, donations to the community project, but the truth was simpler and more complicated. She was fascinated by their relationship, by the life Jack had built. She began to help at the community garden, awkward at first in her impractical clothes, gradually learning to get her hands dirty. She brought books for Lily, listened to her imaginative stories, even attended her dance recital, sitting uncomfortably among the other parents with their phones raised to record every moment. Jack watched this transformation with cautious curiosity. "Why are you really doing this?" he asked one evening as they watched Lily chase fireflies in the garden. Eliza considered deflecting but found herself answering honestly. "I'm learning what I missed. What I never had." "What do you mean?" "My parents were like me," she explained. Work-obsessed, emotionally distant. I had nannies, boarding schools, trust funds, everything except their time and attention. I always told myself I was better off, that their approach made me strong, independent. But watching you with Lily makes you wonder what you missed, Jack finished for her. Yes. She looked at him directly. And what my child might miss if I don't change. Summer turned to fall. Eliza's visits became regular, expected. She adjusted board meetings around Lily's school schedule, learned to bake passable cookies for class parties, discovered the strange satisfaction of helping with homework. Her penthouse began to accumulate evidence of this other life, children's books, a small pair of rain boots, drawings magnetized to her previously pristine refrigerator. Her executive team noticed the change. "You seem different," her CFO commented after she declined a weekend conference in Tokyo because it conflicted with Lily's birthday party. "Do I?" Eliza asked, not elaborating. The truth was, she felt different. For the first time, she was connecting with something beyond achievement and acquisition. She was learning to value moments that couldn't be quantified on a balance sheet. One rainy November afternoon, Eliza arrived at Jack's apartment with soup when Lily was homesick from school. She let herself in with the key they'd given her, for emergencies, calling out softly in case Lily was sleeping. She found them both in Lily's bedroom, Jack reading aloud while his daughter dozed fitfully. He looked exhausted, having been up all night with her fever. "Go rest," Eliza whispered. "I'll stay with her." Jack hesitated, then nodded gratefully. "Call me if her fever goes up again." Eliza settled into the chair beside Lily's bed, watching the little girl's chest rise and fall. When Lily stirred, opening fever-bright eyes, she smiled at Eliza without surprise. "Will you tell me a story?" she asked hoarsely. "Of course," Eliza said, reaching for a book. "No, a made-up one. About you." Eliza paused, then began hesitantly. "Once there was a woman who lived in a tower made of glass and steel. She thought she had everything she needed because she could buy anything she wanted. But she was wrong. What did she really need?" Lily asked, snuggling deeper under her covers. "She needed to learn that the most important things can't be bought," Eliza continued softly. "Things like love, and family, and the feeling you get when someone draws you a picture just because they were thinking about you. Like the picture I drew you for your office?" "Exactly like that." Eliza smiled, remembering how that crayon drawing of Ms. Eliza's garden now hung framed beside her industry awards. The woman in the tower didn't know she was missing anything until she met a very brave man and his very special little girl. Lily's eyes were growing heavy again. "Did they live happily ever after?" she murmured. Eliza stroked her hair gently. "I don't know yet. That part of the story isn't finished." From the doorway, Jack's voice came quietly. Maybe they could, if the woman was brave too. Eliza looked up, startled to find him watching them with an expression she couldn't quite read. Lily had drifted back to sleep, her breathing deeper and more regular. In the kitchen, Jack made tea while Eliza perched on a stool, suddenly nervous. "How much did you hear?" she asked. "Enough," he said, sliding a mug toward her. "Eliza, what are we doing here?" "What do you mean?" "You came to me wanting a biological donation with no strings attached. Now you're practically co-parenting my daughter. You've integrated yourself into our lives, and we into yours. So I'll ask again, what are we doing?" Eliza stared into her tea, gathering courage. "I still want a baby," she said finally. "But I've realized I want more than that. I want a family. And somewhere along the way, I started to hope that family might include you and Lily." Jack was silent for so long that Eliza finally looked up, bracing for rejection. Instead, she found him watching her with the same gentle attention he gave to nurturing fragile new plants. "You know," he said finally, "when Anna died, I thought that was it for me. That I'd had my one chance at love, and now my job was just to be the best father I could be to Lily. I never expected to feel anything like this again." "Like what?" Eliza whispered. "Like I've found someone who makes our family more complete, not less. Someone who doesn't try to replace what we lost, but builds something new alongside it." He reached across the counter, taking her hand. "I'm not interested in being your sperm donor, Eliza. But I might be interested in being your partner, if that's what you're asking." "It is," she said, her voice steadier now. "Though I warn you, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never been good at relationships." "You're doing better than you think," Jack said, smiling slightly. "Lily adores you. And I." He paused. "I'm getting there myself." "So what now?" Eliza asked, unfamiliar territory stretching before her. "Now we take it one day at a time," Jack said. "Like growing a garden. You can't rush it, can't force it. You just create the right conditions and nurture what grows." 1 year later, Eliza stood in a different garden, the expanded community project that now occupied an entire city block, funded by the Blackwood Sullivan Foundation. Jack worked beside her, planting a cherry tree to commemorate their wedding 3 months earlier. Lily, now 6, danced around them, occasionally stopping to pat Eliza's rounded belly. "When will my brother come out?" she asked for the 100th time. "About 2 more months," Eliza answered patiently, marveling at how natural such conversations now felt. "And then our family will be complete," Lily declared. Jack caught Eliza's eye over their daughter's head. "What do you think? Will we be complete?" Eliza considered the question, thinking of the journey that had brought her here. From a woman who thought a baby could be acquired like a company to someone who understood that families grew organically, with care and time and love. "I think," she said carefully, "that families are never really complete. They keep growing and changing. But they're always whole, at every stage." Jack smiled, reaching for her hand. Not bad for a former arrogant billionaire who thought she could schedule a baby between meetings. "Watch it, Gardner," she teased back. "I'm still your boss at the foundation. And I'm still the one who knows how to get the stains out of your designer clothes when you insist on gardening in them." Lily tugged at both their hands. "Less talking, more planting. The tree needs us." As they knelt together in the soil, Eliza reflected on the strange path that had led her here. She had wanted a baby and approached it like a business transaction. Instead, she'd found a family, a purpose beyond profit margins, and a love she never knew to seek. The woman in the glass tower had finally come down to earth, and discovered it was where she belonged all along. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more emotional journey.